All right, what is going on, everyone? Welcome, Rabid here, and today we got a project. So if we look here, we can see we got the drill, the tape measure, we got some lumber, and 2 solar panels. So what I'm going to be doing today is building a ground mount on wheels. So we're going to check out all the parts we need and everything for this. I did see this on a previous video, so I'm going to attempt it and see how it works out. But first, it wouldn't be a Canadian spring without an ice cap in the snow. So make sure we got the proper beverages for this project. And of course, we got the Rottweiler. Sasha Rue has to maintain what's going on, and she's going to guard this stuff so nobody steals my solar panels. All right, so what we got here is 2 4x4x8s. This is going to be our total width of this, or I guess it could be length. These are going to be cut to the length of 2 of these side by side, because that's going to be the whole idealio there. And then for the back section, and then we got 2 2x4s/8. Those will just be cut for the width this way, I guess. That way it'll be like our rectangle for those to mount on. All right, we also got some eco-worthy ground mounts right here, which we're going to be mounting to our wooden frame. Now you could probably do the same thing with wood as these kind of adjust, but if you just want stationary, wood would probably be cheaper just to build. These are about 40 bucks on Amazon. I will have links to this in the description. And then also we got some casters right here to make it mobile. And then we got some rope here for 160 pounds, some eye hooks and stuff. That way we can pull it around, spin it with the sun, whatever we kind of got to do here. Now this is saying to mount it horizontally, but I'm actually going to mount them vertically like that through the mount. So we're going to see how this all ends up playing out. So the first thing I want to do is get these together and at least put the bottoms onto my panels at the bottom there, because what I want to do is get them as close together as possible, measure it out so I know exactly the length that I got to cut these 4x4x8s to. All right, so let's come over here and do a quick little talk about safety before I begin anything. I'm going to unplug these. So you can see I have the Bitcoin blanket here, and I covered the one panel up. I'm going to unhook it, then go to the other one. But remember, even though it's not that, bright of a sun and overcast, especially if there was a clear day, you'll definitely want to do this. But solar panels, you just think about it, oh, nothing going on. But there's a lot of power coming out of these panels. So just as a safety precaution, I urge you guys to cover up your panels and then do any type of unplugging or anything you got to do. Obviously, if you're have the inverter in your garage, or a Bluetti or something, you probably have a power disconnect switch over there to unplug everything over there. So obviously make sure that's off to cut the power. But coming from your panels, you are still live, and these are going all the time as long as they're in the sun. So some people don't move their panels around or anything until it turns into the evening and the sun is gone. But if you're doing it during the day, and especially if it's really bright and sunny out, make sure you cover them up, and obviously use a watt meter and stuff to make sure it's there. And the more panels you have, the more dangerous it is. But yeah, these are 445 watt panels each, hooked in parallel. So I'm pushing probably around 800 watts, 24 amps or so. So, there's a decent amount of power here, and it's also DC power, which means it's going to hurt and it's going to possibly cause some damage to you. So be very careful when it comes to power intensive operations like solar panels, which you wouldn't think about it, but it will happen. These things are putting out power and you wouldn't even think so. So just a reminder. All right, so let's just kind of come over here to show you what is going on. So coming into here, this is the bottom, and we're going to mount these mounts down here, and I'm going to do it on this side. That way I can put these close together, measure how close I get them together. That way I can get my width. So let's show you how to actually get these things all installed here. All right, so here is the bolt. We're going to take this off, and we're going to put the nut on the back side. So if we come into here, we can see the nut right here. It also has these grooves. It will lock in and catch everything. So we're going to take this and place it like so. Push this in, kind of like that. Then we'll place the nut back here, and then kind of thread this on like this. There you go. It feels like it caught here. So now we'll just kind of go like this. There you go. So now obviously we'll just tighten it down and everything, but that is the bottom of this first clamp. All right, guys, so just so you can see, this is a 6mm Allen wrench that I found, and that's what I used to tighten this. It fit perfectly, so obviously this is 6mm there. So I got all the bottom ones on. Now what I want to do is turn around, kind of sit them and rest them on those right there. That way I can get my measurement so I know what to cut those 4x4s at. So that's my next step here, so I know exactly what I need. Now obviously you can just put them side by side, measure them and go. I'm doing it a little bit differently. I want to know exactly how much it is with the spacing in between. It looks like maybe 3/4 of an inch sticking out, so I'd have to add, 3/4 and 3/4, so 1.5 inches or so probably onto just measuring the panels. But I wanted to do it this way so I can see exactly what the distance is with all the mounting gear on. All right, guys, so I'm not sure how well you can see that, but we are about 1.125" stick out. So that means each side has 1.125". So to be on the safe side, you can go 1.5". So 1.5", 1.5", that's 3 inches per panel. So you're going to need 6 inches on top of your total panel width. So for me, each one of these panels are about 45.5 inches. So altogether, plus the 6 inches, I'm going to need about 95 inches side to side. So that's what I'm going to have to cut those 4x4x8s to 95 inches. You can give a little bit more if you want a little bit of wiggle room. All right, guys, so 95 inches is just shy of 8 feet. So I probably don't even need to cut these. I'm just going to leave them as is. That way it gives you that little bit of wiggle room in case you mess something up. All right, so I do have one of the arms on, and I just wanted to point something out here. Is if you have bifacial solar panels like these are, the back is a little thin layer coating as well as obviously glass. You don't want to break that, so snug it up right here. And then when you come down to here, make sure nothing's loose and stuff. Because if you, as you can see right now, it won't do anything. But if it was loose, it could smash down and kind of turn in. And these little corners here could hit your bifacial back. And it could really give you a bad day. And you may even need some new solar panels because you poked a hole through it or even shattered your glass. So be very careful on that part. All right, so I do have everything mounted up here, as you can see for this panel. Now, for your spacing, in theory, you should be able to measure from this one down here up to your mounting hole right there. And that should give you the distance apart your two 4x4s should need to be, which will give you your distance to cut your 2x4s at, to kind of hold them together. So I'm going to measure that and see what it comes to, and then kind of lay that out. Then I'm going to take the one panel and lay it on it and see if it matches up, just to be sure, because I don't want to be cutting wood and stuff and figure out I got to cut it again because something was wrong or I needed more, and then not have enough 2x4s or something. So I'm going to make sure everything fits first before I do any type of cutting. Then I'll know for like future builds and stuff exactly how it plays out. All right, so my measurements from the screw there or bolt up to the bolt right there was 50 inches. So here I have from center to center is 50 inches on both sides. So now I'm going to put my solar panel on here and see if everything does line up nice. If it does, then I can cut those and then kind of screw them into the side here, screw them to the side there, flip it over, put the casters on, mount in the solar panel, and we should be done. All right, so here we are. I got this one here, kind of, as you can see, laying over there because it was a little wobbly. I don't want it to fall while I'm not paying attention to it and break everything. But it looks like the measurement pans out 50 inches, center to center, so bolt to bolt. That's your space in here. So for next time, I can just measure that, and then I can make my frame and then put everything together and just slap them on. But I did want to confirm that that works. So this is a nutshell, essentially what these would look like. Now they can go up a bit higher, like it's adjustable. Then in the wintertime, you can bring them down and get them more flat when the sun is kind of higher. I guess that'd be in the summertime higher. And when it's lower, you can lift them up for the wintertime sun that's just going over the horizon. All right, guys, so it's actually day 2 here because my drill here, the battery kept dying as soon as I started doing one side. So it's like I did those 3, battery dead, recharge, did those 3, battery dead, recharge, and you kind of get the picture here. So it took a while. I only got the one battery. This is an older DeWalt 14 volt drill here. It's, I don't know, I've had this thing for like 10 years, but it's still ticking, so no point in getting a new one. All right, so as you can see here, what I did was drilled in 3 3.5 inch lag bolts into here, and then I also got washers. So I did that at each corner. So now I think I am ready to put on the casters, and the casters are going to go on each corner here, and then I'm going to flip it over. So this is the bottom side right now, then I'll flip it back over, and then we can mount our solar panels and we should be done. One thing that kind of sucks though is this 4x4x8, was kind of twisted. So when it came to this end, it's not quite flush and level, but hey, whatever. It's DIY, kind of makeshift. And, you know, this was cheaper wood, not, you know, the best wood. This is like some pressure treated stuff, so it should be resistant to like bugs and other things that are out there, and soil and rain and all that other good stuff. So it should work out. It's not the premium lumber, but you know, it's budget friendly. That's what we're doing here. All right, so our casters are on, as we can see here, and it's rolling pretty easily. Moves. Yeah, look at that. Nice and easy, rolls easy. Now all that's left is mount our panels and hook them up. All right, so everything is complete. Sadly, I could not record trying to screw those in because I couldn't hold it up and record and do everything up by myself. So that was kind of a pain, so I just had to slap everything together. But what I did do was kind of pick it up vertically and just set those clamps down right there on the board, and I kind of screwed one in there, screwed one on the outside, and then I laid it over, and then I kind of propped it up here, and I got it on the inside there, and then I did these backwards here. So that's in a nutshell how I kind of did this. So finally we have a complete here. I still have my rope and stuff and the big eye hooks right there, which I'm going to have to put on here. That way I can have a rope on each side and I can just pull it around. But right now these stands are 100% complete. Now they're facing north over there, but they are bifacial, so keep in mind they still have power coming into the back side. So be careful, don't be touching prongs and things like that. So these are the eye hooks right here, which I am going to be screwing into the board, and then I'm going to tie my rope to this, and that way you can pull it around. There'll be one on each side. But in a nutshell, I'll go over exactly how everything was done towards the end, but right now we're looking pretty much complete. All right, so I got that eye hook in, and I cut about 12 feet here because it will be doubled up. So I'm just simply going to take these two ends, put them in like so, run it through the middle, and then pull it tight. Kind of weird to do with the camera, but yeah, pull it tight here, and it should make its own little knot after it's all gimped up here. Hold on. There we go. Something like that. So you can see right there. And then now you just tie your end here, and you got plenty to move it around. Also, a little tip here. Obviously, you guys probably know this. This is why I got my bent screwdriver for prying stuff, is once you get it started, just simply put that in. That's how you could screw it in nice and easy. Then, once you get that, just tie a couple knots in the handle here. Now you have a nice handle that you can grip with and simply drag and pull it around. So, awesome. Now we got to put some on the other side. Actually, you know what? One might work just fine. Let's kind of test how this works without running over all our connectors. So I'm just gonna, oh yeah, that rolls easy too. Look at that, 2 paddles, and it rolls like super easy. I'm gonna run over all my stuff. But yeah, it's nice, easy to roll. The ground is really wet too and soft, so that makes it even harder to pull, and yet it's not hard. It's super easy. So these are 5-inch casters, I think. Obviously, the bigger the casters, the easier it is to move, but 5-inch seems just fine for this. All right, so I turned it halfway, and then I realized I lied. Having one on each side makes life way easier. So I was over there pulling it, then I have to get this end in, so now I can just come over and kind of turn it that way. Piece of cake. Everything is working awesome. Look at that. The sun is coming out. Praise the Lord. All right, guys, so that pretty much does wrap up this video. So just to go through a few quick things here. 3 leg bolts on each 2x4 going into the 4x4 studs on each corner here. Measure hole to hole so you know your actual width between it. And then cut your 4x4s by 8s to whatever the width of your 2 solar panels are. Mine pretty much worked out to be 8 feet. Every panel will be different, so measure according to the specs of yours. Also, a little trick I found out when I was putting these on is tighten this brace right here if this is how you want to go. Now you could do something with wood here and probably do it a little bit cheaper as well if you figure out a way to mount it to the wood through here. If you got an idea for that, let me know down in the comment section. That might be something I will try other than these eco-worthy type of stands here. But I will have links to this down in the description as well as those casters and stuff. But yeah, if you tighten this one right here, it won't come slamming down like I mentioned and possibly hit your panel. It'll stick out, be nice and stiff, and you don't have to worry about that. Another thing is these are adjustable. If you just loosen off those 2 screws right there, then you can bring this down and up depending on the angle you need. Obviously in the midsummer, you want to bring them down a bit because the sun is overhead. Then in the winter, you want to bring them up. Right now, I think these are all the way up. So this is the best I'll get in the winter, but come midsummer, you know, I might want to crank these down a little bit as the sun is more overhead. But other than that, this is done. Let me know your thoughts and opinions and what you think about this, what you may tweak about it, what you like about it, don't like about it. And maybe for my next batch, when I get some more paddles, we can possibly figure something else out. So let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section. Hit that like button, share this video around. Rabid Solar Farm is expanding. I'll see you on the next one. Rabid out.